Hello everybody, my name is Hatchard, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to be reacting to a video that I haven't seen before. It's basically from the channel The Verge, and basically it's a PC build. Now, if you talk about PC builds, to be honest with you, I built so many PCs already. I think I built like 25 in my lifetime of building computers. So how can you fuck up? I'm ready to watch this. I'm not really too sure what I'm going to be dealing with. So yeah, I guess I can start on it right now. And yeah.
So a few years ago, TC, or Managing Editor, built a gaming desktop, but it's kind of out of date and it's definitely not going to hold up for Battlefield 5. So let's build a new one. You can build a gaming desktop for around $1,000, but I want to go all out, so I spent around $2,000.
$2,000 is a pretty good budget, to be honest with you. I think you can get like an i7 or i9 build for that price.
Well, of course, first you need a table.
Tables. Well, I can just use my desk. Okay? You can use your desk or just a regular table or a dining table. Don't work on a computer on carpet.
Preferably not metal. If it's going to be metal, have an anti-static working surface layered on top of it, a thermal paste applicator.
I don't think you need a thermal paste applicator. I only seen those if you're applying thermal grizzly, but to be honest with you, you don't really need it. All you need is just a pea size.
An Allen wrench.
I had never seen somebody use an Allen wrench. It just depends on the case. If you're working, if it has like hex screws, then yeah, you probably use that. But to be honest with you, you don't really need an Allen key.
Some tweezers to tighten up the wires. A Swiss.
Those are not tweezers. Those are zip ties. Tweezers that you use is something that you use for your eyebrows or your nose, or maybe you pluck your pubic hairs.
Army knife, which hopefully has a Phillips head screwdriver in it.
Why are you using a Swiss Army knife? To be honest with you, really? First of all, why are you using a Swiss Army knife? Don't you have a screwdriver? This is all you need. Okay? This is from Dollarama or Dollar Tree for $1.15. You guys don't have one in your office? Oh my god.
And last but not least, an anti-static bracelet, which is to protect you and the parts. These are the parts you're going to need, but more importantly...
That is not an anti-static bracelet. An anti-static bracelet or an ankle strap is a band that goes over your wrist or over your ankle that has a ground wire to plug onto a surface piece of metal or on your case. But here's a tip though. If you guys don't have an anti-static bracelet, all you have to do is take your case and put your hands on top of the case for about 10 seconds. So basically you won't get grounded.
PC parts, so it's best you unbox them, isolate the parts.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
We have a lot of
What was that?
boxes and a lot of PC parts, so it's best you unbox them, isolate the part.
You just ripped the... Did you just rip the box for... You just destroyed that box for either that power supply or that liquid cooler. Basically, on those Corsair boxes, you just flip them up. You don't just ravage it off. What the hell?
Parts that you really need, place items into the case and make sure that they all fit and then start working. And now we're really going to start building by adding the motherboard in. Some notes about installing motherboards: they're really delicate, you should be really careful with them. And screw in with confidence, but also don't screw in too hard, otherwise you could crack the board. I chose Asus's Z370 motherboard for two main reasons. One, it has built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and also it has support for NVMe SSDs, meaning you can get...
Okay, I gotta stop there. Basically, that is an Asus ROG board, which I have dealt with, and it's a really nice board. First things first, when you're building your first computer, always put your CPU, your RAM, or either your NVMe before you put it in the case. But before you put your motherboard in the case, you have to turn the system on with the motherboard on your test bench or a motherboard box. Now I've done this before, but chances are sometimes when you do it like that, sometimes your system won't post, and then you have to end up taking the motherboard out again.
Get really fast SSDs that are really easy to install. Pay close attention to the brace that goes at the back of the computer.
Did you just call an I/O shield a brace? Carry on.
You always have to make sure that you really hammer it in.
No, you do not use hammers to hammer in your I/O shield. All you have to do is just place it in. All you have to do is just take the shield, place it into your case, and then you put your motherboard in. The I/O shield is for locking the motherboard in. And I'm surprised you even put the standoffs in before you recorded the video.
Because there's no screw, it really just has to go outside of the case and clasp onto the frame. And this is very important because otherwise you can't align the motherboard correctly with the holes. We're just going to start installing all 8 screws.
I can't... Oh my god. He's not joking of using a Swiss Army knife to build his computer. I mean, seriously. Screwdriver. Only a couple of bucks. They're not that expensive.
So next we're going to install the RAM on the motherboard. I chose Corsair's 16GB Vengeance LED RAM for 2 main reasons. One, it has LEDs and we do like lights in our gaming desktops. Secondly, it's pretty fast RAM. It's 2666 megahertz.
Okay, first of all, 2666 megahertz RAM is not even fast for a gaming PC. I suggest you use higher megahertz RAM, like 3000, 32 megahertz, or even 36 megahertz. 2666 is only for like going on websites or watching streams on Twitch, but it's up to you. But I suggest if you're building a PC or gaming PC, use around like in the 3000 range of megahertz RAM. But 16 gigs of RAM is pretty plenty,
I believe. So it's pretty fast, and this motherboard supports that speed, which is most important. Open the slots first, and just allow...
Why are you opening all 4 DIMM slots if you only have 2 RAM sticks? I mean, are you running dual channel? Or you're running quad channel? I don't know what's going on here.
Lining the stick with the middle of the strip, not with the end, and just lining that up.
Okay, we gotta stop there.
Stick with the...
We gotta stop there. First of all, you did something wrong. First of all, that is a big no-no. First of all, you're putting your RAM stick backwards. How you can tell? With on the RAM stick, there's a missing tooth that you have to, and there is a tooth that you have to align with the RAM slot. If you put it in wrong, chances are you're going to end up bending that pin, and then you're going to end up breaking your slot. Here's a tip. If you want to align with your RAM slot, basically that sticker right there goes points towards the I/O shield or your CPU fan. That's how you get it aligned.
The strip, not with the end, and just lining that up with the logo. So once you hear that solid clasp and you don't see the gold connectors on the side anymore,
I can't believe Okay, that is some editing work. That editor just saved his ass. Holy crap.
Step 3, we're going to install the hard drive, or in this case, the NVMe SSD. I chose this format of solid state drive so that I could input it into the motherboard without having to worry about extra wires or putting it in a separate part of the case and just getting really messy.
The case is that he's using right now is a Corsair form factor case.
This is from Kingston, and it's 480 gigabytes, so it's not a lot, but you can always upgrade this and swap it out.
480 gigabytes of NVMe is not that bad. I only use NVMe for opening Windows because I want that the speed and performance.
It's held down by one screw and the latch, so it's really.
I have a funny feeling that he's gonna end up putting the NVMe without the standoff. Because on the motherboard, you can see there's three holes to put your standoff in.
Speed for gaming is important when it comes to a hard drive. You want files to write quickly and you want games to...
And he forgot to put the standoff on. Oh god. No, jeez. Yeah. Of course he's using his Swiss Army knife.
Use an SSD.
Listen. Screwdrivers. Dollar Tree.
Okay, so step 4, we're going to install the graphics card. I chose PNY's GTX 1080, which is overclocked. And so it's a pretty easy installation. You're just going to find the gold connectors. And you're going to line this bracket with the back end bracket of your PC case. Now, which lane you choose depends entirely on what other parts you're going to put in the system. I'm just going to pick the top one because the SSD is at the bottom and I don't want to cover it.
It does matter, to be honest with you. When you're building a PC and when you're putting your graphics card, always put it on the X16 slot because it has a much faster bandwidth. If it's an ATX board and there's 2 of them, sometimes 3, basically it is either a times 8, a times 4, or even on the older boards, an X1. Now, you only use either the X8 if you're putting like a PCIe capture card or another graphics card that you're going to be doing SLI or Crossfire. If you put it in the X8 slot, basically your graphics card is not going to be really efficient, and 2, it's going to run half the power. I made that mistake before, and trust me, it's not that fun.
Click down. Take your remaining brackets and just put them in the spots that you haven't used. You don't have to screw these in. They get bolted down by the back end bracket. And your GPU is installed. Power supply time. I chose Corsair's 850 watt power supply because I need enough headroom for ray tracing GPUs when they come out, and I don't want to have to upgrade it again. So all you have to do is take the brick and make sure that you align it with...
Do you just call a power supply a brick? That is a power supply. That's the component that delivers power to your computer. A brick is something that you use on your house or a wall, not on your computer.
These little insulating pads so the power supply doesn't short circuit and come into contact with the rest of the system.
Okay, I gotta stop here. Those are vibration pads. When you put those on just to decrease or reduce vibration into your case, not making the stupid
pads so the power supply doesn't short circuit and come into contact with the rest of the system.
It's not gonna short. It's only it's only gonna short if you put it on back, if you're putting in the power supply the wrong way.
So just take it in, slide it in nice
and he puts it in backwards. Are you kidding me? What are you trying to do? Freaking cool down your motherboard? that power supply is gonna go within about like a few months. And by the way, I dealt with those power supplies before, those HX850s. Those are 80 certified platinum, and they cost around $200 and something. Boy, you need to learn.
So next step, we're going to install the CPU cooler. In this case, it's going to go on the...
First of all, you have to put your CPU in first before you put on the cooler. Not the other way around.
Top end of the case, and we're just going to have the hose hang out for a little while until we install the processor, which is going to come a little later. Always be sure to try to place it in the...
Oh my god, he's putting his goddamn frickin' his all-in-one cooler without the fans. First of all, with those Corsair coolers, they come with longer screws. So basically, hold on a second. Take this for example. This is a Corsair fan. This is a fan for a water cooler. Basically, there is holes. There is long screws about like 2.5 inches. You put it in the holes. It takes about this much, and then you screw in your radiator. If you're doing that, if you forget to put your fan, if you decided to put your radiator without the fans, chances are you're just ruining your radiator.
And then it fits in perfectly, and we're going to start screwing.
Perfectly without your fans?
So there's nothing special about this screwing in process. They're just really long screws.
And of course he's still... Oh my god. Screwdriver! Come on! Walmart! Superstore! Dollar Tree! Not sellers. Target! You have a couple of millions of subscribers and you can't even afford a goddamn screwdriver?
Because they go through the entire frame of the cooler and they take forever. So next up, cables. Every power supply is going to come with a big bag of Velcro cables. It's...
No. Not all power supplies come with a bag of cables. Only semi-modular or fully modular power supplies come with those. Not the cheapy stuff. And plus, you don't need that many cables. You only need not many cables if you're running like, I don't know, 5 hard drives. I don't know. It just depends.
Kind of daunting at first, so you always have to find the ones that are going to fit. In this case, you need to match those cables with the correct descriptions on the power supply. Next step is we're connecting the power supply to the motherboard with a 24-pin cable. We're just matching that cable from the motherboard.
Wait, hold on a second. Wait.
Next step is we're connecting cable from...
I can't believe he still has his CPU still not put in. You're supposed to do that first, you idiot.
We're installing the CPU, the heart of the computer or the brain, depending on how you look at it. So to do this, we're just going to remove the plastic covering that they put on the motherboard. We're just going to take this little plastic part out. We'll just toss that out of here.
No! Don't throw that out! You are a complete moron. You always keep that just in case if you have to bring your motherboard back for repairs or have it exchanged. If you bring your motherboard back without that, they're going to send it back. So don't throw that away.
And now we have an exposed CPU.
Oh my god, I just realized he put in his RAM wrong. His RAM stick's wrong. The RAM stick is on the wrong way. Now, when you're putting in 2 sticks of RAM for dual channel, you have to read your owner's manual to see which RAM slots you have to put your RAM in. I believe on this board, I believe it's A2, which is the second slot, and B2, which is slot number 4. He put it in the second and third slot. You know what that's gonna happen? chances are either one, his system is not going to post to the BIOS, or two, it's going to end up reading just 8 gigs of RAM. And no support for dual channel. Only single channel.
Holder, or rather slot, on the motherboard. And we're going to use the CPU applicator.
What the f is that? First of all, hold on a second. First of all, you don't need that, because here's the thing. I have a CPU, okay? Here's a CPU, okay? On the bottom left, there is a triangle on the CPU. So, with that triangle, you have to align the triangle on the motherboard with this triangle. And if you put the CPU wrong, chances are you're gonna end up, one, bent your pins and fuck up your motherboard, or two, it's no, actually, chances are it's gonna ruin your motherboard.
This is a special little part that not everyone may get, but this motherboard that we got from ASUS definitely does have. It's called a CPU installation tool. It makes it really useful if you want to install a Core i7 hexa-core CPU. Yeah, we've got one, and it's an 8th generation.
So basically, it's just an 8700K
chip, and it's ready to go.
A $400 CPU.
And it supports overclocking. So what having this little installer does for you is it's basically a brace that you can apply.
Why are you calling this a brace?
Right to the CPU and light it up with the triangles that you'll see on the bottom left corners. And this will make it easier for us to apply it to the motherboard, and then apply thermal paste, and then apply a CPU cooler on top. And we're just going to carefully lean it down into the system and make sure that everything lines up, and we're going to clasp down on it.
He didn't even use the tool! What the hell's going on here?
And we'll be good to go. So we're about to apply thermal paste to the CPU. Every CPU cooler actually comes with a bit of thermal paste already neatly applied in a circle around it. But it's usually not enough. It's good, essentially PC building practice to have a little bit extra.
No, that is a big no-no, okay? Those are two different thermals. If you're going to use a different thermal than the pre-applied, just clean it off. Just use a rag, use some alcohol, just clean it and just apply. Basically, that is just enough to cool down your CPU. If you put more on that CPU cooler, basically, all the excess thermal is going to drip down to your socket, and then it's going to ruin your CPU and your motherboard, which is going to short out a lot of components.
And layer it on top of the CPU. The final portion is to add the CPU cooler to the top end of the processor. So you're going to see that...
Oh my god, that... He just went frick. Did he just came on the CPU? Are you kidding me? First of all, when you're applying thermal paste on your processor, just put a tiny pea size, or enough like a grain of rice. That's it. Not a freaking goddamn bukkake. What the f are you doing? You're just ruining your components. That's a complete mess.
Brackets, or rather like screws in here with brackets and holders right here. And they're going to keep the cooler raised off the processor, but it's also going to be close enough to actually physically come in contact with it, like basically keep it cool. Take thumb screws like this and just screw them on. So now that our internals are done, we're going to put all the panels back on, which is the top glass, side glass, front glass, and of course the back panel where all of this fun stuff is happening. So we fully built the PC.
Oh my god. Okay, first of all, here's a tip. When you're finishing off building a computer, just take the goddamn time to cable manage, or have somebody to cable manage it for you if you don't know anything about it. And I'm surprised that you put in the fans, because you finally knew that there was no fans at that goddamn radiator. And second of all, the tubing for your CPU for your water block is rubbing against your graphics card. So basically liquid rubbing against the graphics card equals catastrophic failure. That is a big no-no.
Everything's put together, and we got to the post screen.
Hallelujah! He got into the post screen. I'm not fucking surprised.
Right now I've got Armor 3 running at maximum settings, native resolution, which is 1080p HD. And it's running pretty smoothly. Like, I'm averaging 70 and 80 FPS, and this is normally like a very intensive game to run.
All you're just doing is just flying a fucking plane. Really? That is not benchmarking. When you benchmark something, you have to have the VSync off.
So right now I'm playing League of Legends. It's one of my favorite games. I'm actually playing against a bot, and I'm distracted, so I'm not actually doing so well. But otherwise, like, this is pretty much what you would see me do on a gaming computer. Test stuff out, and hopefully have really high frame rates like I am right now. I'm averaging 120 FPS, and that's only because I've actually locked the game to that frame rate, because I can get...
That is not benchmarking. You really have it locked because I don't know why. Basically, you only use, if you have like a 140 hertz monitor and it's going about, like, 300 frames per second, chances are you're going to end up seeing ghosting in your game. Okay, I gotta stop here because what in the fuck did I just watch? First of all, this video sucks. I wasn't too pleased on how he built his goddamn computer. He pretty much screwed up on everything when building a computer. Oh my god. So everybody, when you're building your first computer, watch a different video. Not this one. That's going to teach you a lesson what not to do. How about I'll just do this? I'll rebuild my computer in a video, and I'll show you how to do it properly. Sounds like a plan? Okay, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more future content, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm sorry I'm kind of pissed off now, but Hatchard, out.